This is the new 2019 Mitsubishi Strada GT. It is the top spec variant for the Strada, and it's one of the most feature-packed pickup trucks that you could buy. Is it worth its 1.6 million peso price tag? Let's find out. The Strada has recently received a facelift, and it now looks like its SUV brother, the Mondeo. It may be called a facelift, but the changes are more than skin deep. We'll talk about some of its more high-tech features later, but for now, let's check out the most obvious changes on the outside. The new Strada receives Mitsubishi's dynamic shield front end. I've said in past reviews that I'm not a fan of this design, but it's definitely more interesting to look at than the previous Strada's boring mug, which didn't age very well, in my opinion. The headlights are on the bumper. These right here are the daytime running lights and turn signals. The sides are very characteristically Strada, with a curved line between the cab and the bed. The window line also curves upwards. The bed, when viewed from the side, looks like it tapers a little bit towards the back. It makes the vehicle look a bit more streamlined. The Strada stands out in a sea of boxy pickup trucks with their straight lines and right angles. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. I heard a couple of comments from onlookers saying that the Strada looked feminine. Some people just want their pickup trucks to look manly and boxy. Overall, I think it's a pretty attractive looking pickup truck, although its looks might be a bit of a hit or miss. It looks pretty futuristic. The interior still looks like the Mondero's interior. The steering wheel feels thick and it's nicely padded. It feels substantial and it feels nice to grip. There's plenty of soft touch materials around the interior, but curiously, the armrest on the door is made of hard plastic. I would think that among the surfaces that need to be padded, the armrests would rank pretty high.
At least the center armrest is padded. The seats are covered in leather, very nicely bolstered. Have leather inserts on the door sidings. The steering wheel is also leather covered. You have an infotainment display with navigation. There's this nice looking trim, which looks like it's aluminum, but it's actually plastic.
It has roof-mounted rear aircon vents. The design of the vents themselves are pretty unorthodox. When I first saw them, I wasn't sure what they were. Basically, instead of a louver, it has one fin for directing the airflow. Okay, here in the back I have sufficient legroom. There are two USB ports over here. Aircon controls over here. Center armrest with two cup holders. Headroom is pretty decent as well. The Strada is powered by the same engine that powers the Montero. That's a 2.4 liter turbo diesel engine, which produces 179 horsepower and 430 Newton meters of torque. It is coupled to a 6-speed automatic. The new suspension feels pretty good, for a truck at least. It's not gonna ride as nicely as the Montero, but it rides a lot better than the Hilux. The steering ratio is quite slow. The steering is quite light, but it's not as light as the Ranger. The Strada GT has several drive modes. It has gravel, it has mud and snow, it has sand, and it has rock. The new Strada gets the new Super Select 4-wheel drive 2 system. It has 4 modes. There's 2 high, which is 2-wheel drive with an open diff. There is 4 high, which is 4-wheel drive with an open diff. And then there is 4 high LC, which is 4 high with a locked center diff. And 4 low LC, which is 4 low with a locked center diff. The Strada GT is one of the most feature-packed pickup trucks in the local market. It is only beaten by the Ranger when it comes to features, and it sells for just 1.6 million. It's cheaper than the Toyota Hilux. It has adaptive cruise control, it has blind spot monitoring, it has front parking sensors, it has dual zone climate control, all of which the top spec Hilux doesn't have. It is cheaper than the Hilux, which is pretty bare compared to the Strada, and it sells for about the same price as the Ranger. I think the Ranger feels a bit more refined. There's less cabin noise, the interior has better materials, it is bigger, and it has active parking assist, which is very helpful when parallel parking such a huge vehicle. On top of that, I think the Ranger is the best looking truck in the market. But that's subjective. I still think that the Ranger is one of the best pickup trucks that you can buy locally. But if you have doubts about the longevity of the Ranger, the Strada would be a good candidate for second place.